It's been an interesting week. On Monday I had an MRI for the first time in my life. I have a problem with my shoulder. I can't do the Elon Musk salute. And it wasn't a very pleasant experience for me. I found it very claustrophobic in the machine, and there was a lot of noise, and I was in a lot of pain because I had to keep my arm motionless, and I wanted to move it all the time. But this channel is about books, so I'm going to get back to books, reading and stuff. January, I finished 5 books. It was a good reading month for me because 3 of those 5 books were 5-star reads for me, which is unusual. It's usually 1 book in every 4 is a 5-star read for me. These included Ship Fever by Andrea, Barrett. This is a collection of short stories and 1 novella, the title novella Ship Fever, about the coffin ships moving emigrants from Ireland to Canada in 1847, and a lot of the emigrants had this fever, this typhus, and what happened to them when they arrived in Canada and were put in quarantine. And it's from the focus of a Canadian doctor who's treating the victims of this illness. Also 5-star was Murder at the Orpheus Theatre, which is the 4th book in the Tate & Bell series by Irina Shapiro. I really like this. This is set in the 1850s in London. Gemma Tate is a nurse who's come back from the Crimean War, and Sebastian Bell is an inspector in Scotland Yard, and they investigate crimes together. And the 3rd book was of Monsters and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove, which was a great mashup of science fiction, horror and comedy. And all 3 of these books I put out 1-minute reviews for. Now I'm currently reading 4 books. Some of these have been going on for a while. Barnaby Rudge. I started Barnaby Rudge way back in October. I'm on page 448 of 648, so 200 pages to go. They finally got to the Gordon Riots, which is the book's subtitled, about Barnaby Rudge and the riot of 1780. It's one of 2 historic novels by Dickens. The other is A Tale of Two Cities, and it's set in the 18th century. This is grip on the front. Barnaby Rudge has everything you'd want from a Dickens novel. It's got a murder mystery, although Edgar Allan Poe wasn't too impressed with the murder mystery in here. So it's a talking raven. This is grip. There's a suspicious criminal, melodramatic churchyard scenes, a charming country inn with the John Bull landlord, the maypole. There's a dramatic mob, there's riots, fires, a hangman, a blind man, some lovely Georgian world building, some terrible crooks, some lovable old men. The women, as usual, aren't great. They're harridans or frumps or airheads, but that's one of Dickens' limitations. His genius is for the buzz of a city, the life of a building, and the tumult of events. They're at a high pitch in Barnaby Rudge. It's a sprawling novel. It's one of the early novels, and they tended to be rather sprawling and chaotic plots. It wasn't until Dombey and Son, I think about his 7th novel, that he started plotting more coherently, shall we say. Even longer than Barnaby Rudge is a mammoth is Thomas Mann's Magic Mountain, which it runs to 1,033 pages. It's not a book I can rush through because there's not a big storyline, a big plot, a gripping plot. It's more the reflections of Hans Castorp, who goes to this sanatorium in Davos in Switzerland. He goes initially to visit his cousin Joachim, but Hans himself becomes ill and has to stay a lot longer than the 3 weeks he originally intended. And the book is about his musings on life and death and illness and health and time and various other things. There's some very interesting insights, but it's not like a page turner of a book. I also have this Georgian book, or this book in Georgian. It's actually written by a Norwegian, Ana-Kath Vestley. It's Dideda da Ravaubausvi Tcheshi, great-grandmother and 8 children in the forest. And it's for 7 to 9-year-olds. And I've just started it. This is the second book for me in Georgian. I really need to up my Georgian. And the fourth book I'm reading is The Famous by Lynch. This is an arc. The book's coming out in March. I've read Lynch before. She's written a whole series of 12 police procedurals about D.I. Kelly Porter in Cumbria, but this is different. This is The Famous. This is a psychological thriller. It's claimed to be a gripping psychological thriller about the dark side of fame, but I'm not getting on very well with it at the moment. I'm finding the pacing is very slow, and I'm not invested in the central character, who's Gloria White, who's this famous TV presenter, and she's got these threatening letters from somebody who seems to know a lot about her past and how she got there. And she's got an ex-husband who's running the media business where she's working, who's not very nice, and her daughter is starting as a journalist, and she's one of these Nepo babies, so she gets opportunities that people without her connections wouldn't get. So I'm not really invested in any of the characters, but I really like Lynch's police procedurals, but this one I don't like it very much. I think she's trying to go into territory of people like Frida McFadden, but Frida McFadden is much better in this genre of psychological thrillers. I'm hoping as it goes along the pace will pick up and it'll be more interesting, but I'm not sure. I'm also not enamored by the cover, the picture of the shoes. I can understand why it's on the cover, like this is what the TV audience don't see, but I only know they might be Louboutin because I read The Teacher by Frida McFadden, where one of the main characters was obsessed by shoes. And also I'm not too enamored by the geographical setting. Geographical setting is important for me. Contemporary London and Surrey don't interest me. I love Victorian London and Our Mutual Friend by Dickens, or Bleak House by Dickens, or the Tate and Bell Mysteries by Irina Shapiro. In Victorian London I like this, but I prefer when Lynch writes about the Cumbrian landscape in the police procedurals with D.I. Kelly Porter. Poetry doesn't get me a lot of views, my least viewed videos, my poetry videos, but I've been faithfully putting out a poetry video every Thursday since September, and I'm finding there's a few poets, particularly the Irish poets, that I really like now, like Evan Bolan and Seamus Heaney. What are you reading? Let me know below. And February is Black History Month. I don't have anything for Black History Month. I'm not sure what other reading events are on. I have my TBR. I'll put my TBR on the screen. You can pause it. If you have read any of these books, you can comment about them below. Or if you'd like to read any of them, you can comment about them below. Maybe we can have a buddy read even. If you enjoyed this video, you can give it a like. This will help me with the YouTube algorithm. And I will see you on the next video. Goodbye.